Hi everybody, this is Chris Lemons from Vanderbilt University. This video is to introduce you to the interactive learning project or product for Module 11. So the purpose of this activity is to have you apply what you've learned to an intervention that you know. So you're going to do this activity individually, and then you will share your work with a faculty member, either Joe, Lynn, or myself, and a small group of scholars. There will either be 3 or 4 scholars in each group. And we'll schedule a debrief call. One scholar in your group will be designated the group leader, and this person will be responsible for scheduling the call and determining what technology platform will be used to share the presentations, like Skype or Google Hangout. So for this activity, you're first going to select an intervention that could be intensified. Likely this is going to be an intervention that you have experience delivering, maybe something that you've worked on as a tutor during the last 2 years, or just an intervention that your advisor knows really well. It could also be something that you experienced as a classroom teacher or behavior specialist, or it could be an intervention that you would just like to know more about. You're going to use the taxonomy paper and the other readings to determine how the intervention could be intensified. So if it's useful for this activity to focus on a specific student, either real or a student that you make up like a case study, or even a subgroup of learners, that is okay. It's not required, but if that makes that activity a little easier, that's fine. So you're going to need to select at least 3 domains from the taxonomy paper and one other idea from one of the other readings to determine what your adaptations are going to be. So note, if your intervention is academic, you need to have at least one adaptation related to behavior, and vice versa. If your intervention is behavioral, you need to have one adaptation that relates to academics. You're going to prepare a 7 to 8 slide PowerPoint presentation that includes the following. So first, you're going to have a title slide that just gives your name and institution, a description of your intervention in 1 to 2 slides. So provide enough information that someone who isn't familiar with it has a general idea of the focus of the intervention, the components, and how it's delivered. This doesn't need to be as detailed as you would at a conference presentation. Then you're going to give a description of each adaptation that you would make. So 1 slide for each of these, 4 total slides. You're going to describe which domain or idea from the papers that the idea for your adaptation, where it originated in which paper, and just kind of describe what the adaptation is, or the domain. And then describe more specifically how you would integrate this adaptation into your intervention. So what would it look like and how would it change the extant intervention? So finally, you're going to wrap up with a slide of outstanding questions or ideas that you thought were important, and these can just go on 1 slide. The group leader should work with the group members to arrange a time for the debrief call and the technology platform as well. And on the call, there should be some brief introductions first, and then each scholar should present their presentation. There should be a small amount of time after each presentation just for clarifying questions, but then let each of the members present, and then the group should wrap up the call by considering outstanding questions that weren't answered or new questions that came up as you were hearing other people's presentations, and have a discussion thinking about additional ways that this information could be applied to intensifying interventions. I hope you like this activity. I think it gives you a good chance to kind of take things you've learned over the last 2 years and really apply them to something that you have interest in learning more about, and maybe this type of project could be useful for launching off an idea for a dissertation or a research project. Okay, thank you very much.